Hey everyone, welcome. I just wanted to start a video journeying my trying to conceive journey, letting you know what I've been through, what I'm going through, and where I hope to end up. And so it all started about 4 years ago. I met my husband and we ended up conceiving almost right away. Total surprise and healthy pregnancy, no problem. We have a 3-year-old boy and he is amazing. But we started trying to conceive again last year in about February. Conceived right away. I got one faint positive test when my period was a couple days late. I was so excited. Been feeling symptoms for a couple days. I just knew it. And the next day, middle of work, started full on bleeding. That was rough. It was rough. And so we tried again. And the next month, I get to about 9 days past ovulation, get another faint positive right away. It happened super quick. We were super excited. And it lasted a couple days and just faded away. And then I started my period again. And after that, absolutely nothing. For a whole year, nothing. I took ovulation test, CoQ10, prenatals, vitamin D, vitamin B, Mucinex, evening primrose oil up until ovulation. I tried pomegranate juice and pineapple core after ovulation. Anything you can think of, I tried it and nothing was working. So January of this year, almost a year into trying to conceive, I have been having a lot of cramping just throughout my cycle for the last couple months. Made no sense. It wasn't with ovulation or with my period coming up. It just randomly, I just hurt and started getting lightheaded. And so I went in, I had her check to see if I had a cyst on my ovary, and she did an ultrasound and found that my right fallopian tube was dilated and filled with fluid. So that's called a Hydrosalpinx, and it usually comes from previous damage or infection. I don't know where mine came from. I had a cyst on that ovary 7, 8 years ago. Had it removed. Nothing since. So I'm assuming maybe that's it. Sorry, got a little visitor down there. It's Mr. Riley. But yeah, so we decided that we were going to try Clomid. Start off 50 milligrams days 3 through 7. We started that in February and nothing. So we bumped it up to 100 milligrams and I got a positive. It worked. 11 days past ovulation, I had the faintest positive on a pregnant. I thought it was a shadow. I thought it must have been an indent or something, but it was the most convincing shadow I have ever seen on those tests. And I took them religiously every single cycle, every single day, 8 days past ovulation on. Very regular cycle. I usually ovulate between day 16 and 20, but then I have an exact 14-day LP every single time. So I dipped a first response too, and I dropped some on one of the Walmart First Signal, just 88-cent tests. Didn't expect either of them to be positive, but I thought, might as well check since it was a pretty convincing shadow. And I waited like 5 minutes. I looked at the first response and there was a pink line. There was no denying it. So excited. So I did digital and that came up positive too. My Walmart was positive. It was real. I was shaking like a leaf. I screamed. I cried. I was so excited. I could not believe it. So it was just the best news ever. I couldn't believe it. I had been pretty forgetful for a couple days and craving dill pickles dipped in sour cream, but other than that, I felt like I felt every single other month. I thought for sure it was going to be negative. It had been negative up until the day before then, 10 days past ovulation, negative as can be. And I was excited. I was hopeful. It was round 2 of Clomid, 100 milligrams, and I couldn't believe it. And I started testing every single day in the morning and in the afternoon, and my tests were progressing. They were getting darker like they should. They were beautiful. Made it all the way to 20 days past. I had dye stealers. It was just perfect. I was getting all my pregnancy symptoms. I could tell I was pregnant. It was progressing. My tests got darker than they ever had before. And I finally felt relief that I could stop testing. But 2 days later, at 5 weeks and 1 day, I started getting cramps. And, cramping is normal for the beginning of pregnancy. Period cramps are normal. But they just started getting worse and worse and worse and worse throughout the day. They got annoying around 11 a.m. By 1 o'clock, it was really uncomfortable. By 2, it hurt to stand still, stand up. I could barely walk. And by 4 o'clock, I was just in bed, in tears, with a heating pad. I took Tylenol, and nothing was helping. And so we went to the ER. And I know you're not supposed to go for miscarriages, but I didn't think I was miscarrying. With the Hydrosalpinx, you have a 50% chance of ectopic pregnancy if the pregnancy comes from the side with the affected tube. And it hurt. It was about the right time for it to start hurting if it was ectopic, and I couldn't stand, I could barely walk, and I've got a high pain tolerance, so I went in anyway, because I just couldn't take it anymore. And I went in feeling positive, hopeful it was just gas or constipation. My beta levels were 601, which was perfect for my tests and how they had progressed and all of that. Exactly where I would expect to be. And I waited and waited and waited. Got my ultrasound and didn't see anything. Just, I was hoping to see a little sac somewhere. That was 5 weeks and 1 day, so I know it was early, but should still at least see a little something, and nothing. So another 2 hours go by, and we get the official report that uterus had free fluid in there, and it was in a regular shape. Didn't look like a gestational sac, and it looked like blood instead. And they said that a viable pregnancy was not likely with that amount of hemorrhaging. And, so that was it. That was it. So I forgot to add that I did have just one gush of blood during the ultrasound. It was after the abdominal ultrasound and before the pelvic ultrasound, just a little bit. So I kind of knew then it was not looking good. Sorry, this is rough. So I followed up with my doctor on Monday. I had only had just really light brown spotting since then. I didn't have my cramps anymore. I was hopeful that, maybe it was just too early to see something and maybe it would be okay. Maybe a cyst ruptured, something like that. And I followed up, got my blood work done, and it dropped to 322. So, confirmed miscarriage again. I was so excited. I let myself get my hopes up. So if you're lucky enough to be able to conceive with the Hydrosalpinx, which was a miracle enough, even with Clomid, I was not expecting it. The rate of early miscarriage goes up to 50 to 80%, depending on what study you look at. But I let myself get excited, and I got let down, and it was hard. After I got the news that it was, in fact, a miscarriage, I still was just lightly spotting for about a week before I actually started to bleed. And I had one day of strong cramps, heavy bleeding. I had a blood clot the size of my palm. That was gross. And then it was like just a regular period for almost a week. Finally stopped bleeding, and then a day later started bleeding again. And it was like having a whole nother period for a whole nother week. I went back and kept getting my blood drawn every Monday. It took 3 weeks for it to drop from 322 to 9. And so that was enough for them to finally say I was done testing, done getting my blood taken, and it was back to normal. So I'm still spotting a little bit. It's been almost a month, but it's super, super light now. Still crampy, still uncomfortable, but we're getting there. I was supposed to have my first ultrasound yesterday at 8 weeks and 4 days, and sorry. I'm just sad. I'm numb and I'm sad. It's hard. I know it was early, but it's still, you imagine your entire pregnancy, you imagine that kid's whole life. I was due December 11th, so I was planning my Halloween costume with my big belly and expecting to have a little baby for Christmas. And I would have been due right around the time when my first 2 losses would have been due. And it was just perfect. But, life happens. It doesn't always work out, and it's hard. And so moving forward, I finally got the call today that the non-essential emergency ban has been lifted and I can get my tube out. I am so excited, let me tell you. When you have Hydrosalpinx, they don't even want to do IVF because the outcomes are so negative. They want to get those affected tubes out before even trying anything. So we were going to try just 3 cycles on Clomid, see if it worked, just hope for a miracle. I was doing anti-inflammatory diet, no gluten, no dairy, no salt, no sugar, no fried foods. It was hard. But, it worked on the second try, and it didn't work out, and so we are skipping the 3rd cycle, and I go on June 4th to get my salpingectomy and get my right tube out, and I am so excited. Oh, I've been waiting for this moment for months. So I get my follow-up appointment in a couple weeks with my pre-op, and we're going to do whatever blood work needs to be done, and I am just crossing my fingers that everything goes smoothly and I can get this tube out and we can keep trying. So it looks like now we'll probably start trying again. I think we have to take one cycle off, so we're aiming for like a late March, maybe early April due date at the earliest. I'm so excited. It's perfect timing. My little one was born beginning of March, and I love having early spring, I guess late winter, but early spring baby. And I have always thought that a May baby is the perfect month to have a birthday. Don't get me wrong, I'll be happy with a baby any month of the year, any due date. I don't care. I just want to take home baby. But I'm really excited, and hopefully it works out and we don't take too long trying. I know we are planning on going back on Clomid as soon as we get the clearance to start TTCing again. And thrilled that it worked the first time. Sucks it didn't work out, but you know, we're gonna try again, and I'm gonna put my faith into it, put my all into it, and I'm gonna track my journey, and I will keep you guys updated how my surgery goes and how Clomid goes, third try, and we'll go from there.